Sarah McLean at Bedford Park, and here we are going on to the latter half of February. March won't be far away, and hopefully with that we'll get some warmer weather, some clearer skies, and everybody will have a little bit more energy, feel happier. I wanted to bring you up to date on the January 2022 Toronto resale real estate market. And again, we have seen record numbers in the month of January. The average sale price in January 2022 was almost $1.25 million, which includes condominium apartments and all other properties in the GTA, which is an incredible 30% higher than it was in 2021. This increase in average sales price is mostly fueled by the 905 region. People are still looking for space, they're working from home, they want more interior space as well as exterior space. So we've seen the average sale price in the 905 increase a whopping 34% year over year in the month of January, and the 416 24%. Generally, in the city of Toronto, homes are still going for about 113% of list price. As far as semi-detached homes in Toronto, we've seen remarkable numbers in the eastern part of Toronto. As an example, in Riverdale, we've seen homes go for 34% over ask, and Leslieville, 27% over ask. As far as the luxury sector is concerned, home sales of properties in excess of $2 million have increased 676% over the last 3 years. While condominiums in the center core tend to be the obvious choice for people who are just entering the market, but now your average sale price of condominium apartments is over $800,000. And on top of that, we've seen a 53% decrease in supply since last year. So again, supply is one of the big problems meeting consumers today. And I think I mentioned before, we had 16% fewer listings going into January 2022, and into February we've got a 44% decline in listings. Although unit sales in January were actually down 18% year over year, it was still a tremendously robust month, as our average sale price had increased 28.6% year over year since 2021. But you can see that the supply problem is still very much with us, and will continue to be throughout 2022. It still looks like early March will be the time when the Bank of Canada raises interest rates. The impact of higher interest rates on home prices is likely to be pretty small, as at this time supply still seems to be our biggest problem. And on that note of supply, the Ontario Housing Affordability Task Force report was just released last week. The report was commissioned early December to address the issues facing cities in terms of low housing supply and affordable housing. The instructions were crystal clear: deliver concrete, actionable recommendations to address the housing affordability crisis by building more homes. The province would very much like to implement some of these recommendations before June 2nd, which is of course our next election. So the specific recommendations that the task force has outlined, of the 55, I'm just going to point out 5. The first one would be to make changes to the zoning and planning policies to allow for greater density. So in other words, in areas where the homes are predominantly single-family detached homes, perhaps the city would allow for multiple units in those homes, or building up, or even laneway housing. Toronto actually has one of the lowest densities of all the major cities in the world, around 1/4 that of New York or London. And the same problem exists for London, Ottawa, and most of Canada's big cities. The second recommendation would be to streamline urban design guidelines and rules in hopes of speeding up the process for developers. The third recommendation would be to depoliticize the approvals process to address NIMBYism and cut red tape to speed up the whole development process and create more housing. Public consultation has always been a problem in certainly the city of Toronto, as well as other major cities in Canada, as you have an endless process which basically can go on and on and on for months, if not years. So the task force actually feels that there should be a time limit on these public consultations, so that, again, the province and the developers can get on with building much needed housing. The fifth recommendation really is to align efforts between all levels of government to incentivize more housing. even if some of these recommendations are implemented in Q2 of this year, you're still looking at between 5 and 15 years before we really see any improvement. If you want to read the full report, please go to our website at zarimclean.com and click on the Media and Blog tab. So, as you can see, it looks like hopefully something is finally being done about our supply problem, certainly in Toronto and Ontario. So again, thanks so much for tuning in. We do try to bring you interesting information, and I hope that you do find it valuable. Thanks. Have a great night.